Here we go. We're recording. Hi, Laura. Thank you for coming to see me on here.
Welcome. Nice to be here.
And we've just had a little chat, haven't we? I was just talking about I can and I will, just discussing how I'm never having a tattoo, but if I did have a tattoo, that's what I'd have. I just can't cope with pain. That's why.
And also, I did write a blog about this the other day, that I had tattoos when I was younger, when I was like 19 and 21. And at the time you think you're invincible and that it's going to be cool forever. But now at nearly 40, not so cool to have those like early noughties tattoos.
So, Laura, do you want to introduce yourself, say who you are, what you are, your passion, and why? Well, you know why I've invited you to come and chat.
Yeah. So I am a life coach, and I help women in particular, not always, but women in particular, to make big decisions around their career, around returning to work, around changing their work situation. And I help them to build the confidence and the courage to do that with understanding themselves from a kind of mindset perspective. So looking at what's going on for them and working towards a plan and an action to give them the skills and the tools to go and do whatever it is they've got buzzing away in their head that they usually come to me with. And I love it. And I love chatting with women, and I love being in that space with them.
I love following you on Instagram. Your reels crack me up. You had one yesterday when you were dancing in your kitchen. I think I had watched it. So I sometimes say I said to my daughter the other day, there's so many people who viewed it that have got more views. She goes, that's because you watch your own reels about 100 times, Mum. Your reel in the kitchen, I just kept watching it because it was just so much fun. And you know, loads of my clients do kitchen dancing. We have got a lot of kitchen disco going on.
I love a kitchen disco, and do you know what? It took me a bit of a confidence to think I'm going to put a video of me dancing in my kitchen on my Instagram page. But actually, I think it helps people to feel like this is a thing I can do to make me feel a bit better, like what you do.
Yeah, feel empowered.
Yeah.
So, Laura, I was just sort of saying a little bit briefly. So, for me, I'm a personal trainer. I also have qualifiers to support people with nutrition and, you know, reaching their goals. But a lot of the time, being a personal trainer, people come and see me and they get fitter, they get stronger, they feel healthier, they feel empowered. And a lot of the time, people then start to think about life change. And that's where my remit, I can guide and I can help slightly, but my remit kind of stops there. So that's why I've reached out to you, Laura, isn't it, to go, so what would you say to those ladies who are starting to think about change and it's the decisions? If anyone follows Laura on Instagram, you'll see decisions all the time. I've had made my decisions before as well. Yeah. So what would you say to the ladies who are starting to feel more empowered and men, sorry.
Yeah. So what I would say is that what I see a lot of the people that I work with is this feeling of being stuck in a bit of a cycle of indecision. So you've got an idea about something you want to do or change or start or try, and that's kind of burning away in the back of your mind, and then everything else gets in the way of that. So other people's needs, other people's priorities, the to-do list, the daily grind, just the stuff that we all deal with every day that's really overwhelming. And so that then leads to inaction, really. It means that thing you want to do gets pushed down and down and down, and you think that it can wait, and you can think you'll do it when the kids are a certain age, or you've got the right amount of money or the right opportunity or the exact perfect situation has presented itself to you, that you'll know that that's when you can make your decision. But what I help with is for you to take control of that decision-making process, and for you to be able to be the one who says, I can do this, I can and I will, like behind you, I'm going to go and do this and on my terms, and I'm not going to worry about what other people think. I'm not going to worry about what happens if it goes wrong, because I will feel equipped to deal with whatever comes my way. So that's what I help in terms of decision making.
So that's really powerful. And actually, I can relate that to fitness. I mean, many people are thinking, I want to start. And then something else comes up and they don't, and they then carry on. So I wrote an email to my 12-week challenge group, actually, was saying about, it's Instagram, show up, just show up. You know, show up even when you're feeling rough, just show up. You know, and be consistent. But it is really hard to make those decisions, isn't it? Yeah. And so with work, related to work as well, I find a lot of people are stuck in the cycle of work, and then they're needing to change, or people who have not worked because their children are little, and then they've gone back to school, and then they're like, where do I go now?
Yeah, who am I?
Huge, isn't it? That's a big void.
It's a really big void, and it can feel like you've forgotten what your identity is in amongst that, and you can feel a bit lost. And that's language that people use with me quite a lot, is they feel lost and they know that there's something else they want to do, but the confidence or the knowledge to do that isn't there at the moment. So it's about, for me, before you even start looking at jobs that you want to do, going back to basics and figuring out what is it that I want and what I need. And so I work with people to get them to understand what it is that brings them joy, what they are good at, and really getting them to talk to me about what they're good at, because what I find is that people don't feel confident to say what they're good at because they think someone's going to say, no, you're not, you're rubbish. And that's just them. That's, that's their inner voice saying that. But once you can start to say that to somebody else, it becomes more true. And then things that they can get paid for, and then also what their values are and what they want to contribute to the world in what they're doing. So getting them to understand all of that in order to then think, right, I know myself now, I know what's important, so I'm going to go and make some decisions based on that. And that can give you the confidence to find things that work for you.
So people could use journaling for that as well, couldn't they? So if someone was thinking that at the moment, anyone could do that actually, whether or not you're needing change or not. So I started talking about journaling quite a lot with my 12-week challenge, trying to encourage them to journal throughout the 12 weeks to look back.
Yeah.
So a really good activity would be those questions. So those key questions that you were saying were about your values, what you really want, what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
And I think that would be a really useful activity for everyone and anyone. I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to go and do that because I like journaling. I like sitting down and thinking, what is it that I want to be, want to do? And even when you're in the same job, you can go in different pathways, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And it's about that thing of getting it from a thought in your head to down on paper, and it becoming much more tangible and a more of a thing that you can have an action from. So if you just keep stuff in your head all the time, it doesn't become real. So I think writing it down is such a good way to do that and to be able to look back on it.
Well, so what kind of key questions, if someone was going to journal, what kind of key questions would they ask themselves when they're at that preliminary stage?
So I think it would be a good place to start is to think about, first of all, what is it that brings you joy? What are the things that you love to do? Who do you love to be around, and who gives you energy? And how can you have more of that in your life? My dog's just come to say hello.
Yeah, and they're sniffling around.
She's very sad. Oh. We'll have to edit that bit out. She's never made that noise before.
We have dogs.
Her. So yeah, journaling around what it is that brings you joy and the things that you love. And then once you've done that and you've got a good sense of it, then the harder question to ask yourself is, what stops you from doing more of that? And seeing what feelings come up and kind of getting a bit curious with, okay, so why do I maybe feel guilty for doing things I love?
I love that. So I talk a lot about in exercise, where you want to be a certain amount of time, and then your barriers, and then how to overcome those barriers. So what kind of that's kind of the barriers, isn't it, that you were talking about there?
Yeah.
So recognizing your barriers, because I think that's really important. We quite often set ourselves a goal and we focus on the outcome. So I'm very much about focusing on the process. We think about the outcome, but focusing on the process. And then, but if we don't think about what's going to get in our way, we can quite easily fall at the first hurdle, can't we?
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's being prepared for that and not beating yourself up about it because that's just the way that you feel, but getting curious with, okay, so why do I feel like that? And what can I be doing differently, or what can I try that's going to stop that a little bit? So that's a good reflection question. So I think with all of those different areas, it's that first thing of making a list and then examining it. One thing I do with people around what their strengths are is often a lot of my clients find it really difficult to articulate what they're good at because it feels a bit cringy, or they feel a bit like, it doesn't feel comfortable. So what I ask them to do is to go and ask 5 people that they trust to give them 5 of their strengths, to just text them or email them or tell them, and then have that as a list and look at it. And what is in 90% of the case happens is that they look at that list and they go, yeah, that is me, and they feel like it's true, and people do know them and people do see them. And there are other things that you might not agree with, but generally people know what our strengths are, because you just live them, and that's what can be seen by others.
So what kind of what do people mainly come to see you about when they come to see you? Is that balance?
Yeah, so it's a bit of a variety. It's largely around career stuff, so either going back to work after maternity leave or a career break of a longer time, and not feeling confident in doing that, so kind of getting together that confidence and going back into the workplace, or working with people around asking for something specific at work. So it might be they want to do flexible working or part-time hours, or things like they want to become more confident in presenting in meetings at work. Or it could be that they just don't know what it is they want to do. They're on a career break and they're trying to figure out what that next step is going to be.
Oh, yeah, it's such a variety as well. And you're very passionate about decision making, aren't you?
Yes. I'm not always the greatest at making decisions, but I am passionate about being confident in yourself so that it makes that decision making easier.
Well, I met you for a cuppa, and I was sort of working out my next. It's summer holidays. It's always the time in summer holidays, and you've got your own business. You start to work out, and I wasn't, and you were just questioning me, question. I can't remember the words you used, but it was very powerful.
Sounds like I'm an interrogator.
You were a bit of an interrogator, and I went away, go, oh, I just need to go and do this, and I did it, and it led to my 12-week challenge, which has been brilliant. Hopefully everyone thinks it's brilliant.
I've been keeping an eye on it. It looks great.
But it is that process.
Yeah.
So I think decision making, there's people who are in change, but I also think for people, for example, to come and see you or just hear you now about decision making. So what's your general feeling about decisions and decision making, and us as women or men? Or
yeah, I think that we lose sight of our intuition when it comes to decision making, and we get very influenced by what's going on around us and the external world. And I think it's always important to remember, what can I control and what do I have to let go of? Because decision making has to come from what you can actually control and what you can do in a situation. So becoming more in tune with that is really, really helpful. So listening to that gut instinct about something often is the right thing to do. So when I took redundancy last year, and I was in a really secure job and I really loved it, there was a niggling voice in my mind that was saying that I wanted to do something else. And when the offer for voluntary redundancy came up, I knew instinctively I wanted to take it. And then I took myself out of it and I went around in circles. But actually what it came back to was, is this right for me? And does it tie into those things that we've been speaking about? And it really did. And it was the right thing to do. So I think it's about trusting yourself more and finding that trust in yourself again, which easily gets lost when you've got 101 million other things to be thinking about.
Oh goodness, that's so powerful. And I don't know if this is another tangent, it's just what I was thinking about, something I've been talking about this week with some people. So it's kind of linked to mindset.
Yeah.
So you have, say you have a day. So for example, I've got a day and it's really busy. I've got lots of clients, which is great. I'm online, I'm in person, and I've got loads going on with the children and the husband, and I've got people coming over in the evening, for example. But there's loads going on my mind. Could that decision making help me to calm my brain down? So instead of the brain overloading and thinking about 101 things at one time, I wonder if that decision making could help people go, actually, this is what you said, what I can control and what I can't control. Yeah. I wonder if that would help in those situations. Think, well, I know that's okay, and I have all that sorted, but I can't control that. I don't. Would that come into it? Because that's definitely a lot of people have, including myself. Life can become overwhelming. I think we've used that word overwhelming before as well. Yeah. And that decision-making process, I'm just thinking that could be brilliant for some people to help.
Yeah, it's a kind of it helps with prioritization and procrastination, which are the two things that really feel like they are in our way. So how do I prioritize all this stuff I've got to do? It's literally make those two circles of what can I control and what can't I control, really, what can I influence, and just doing that as an exercise. And then with procrastination, it can really help, because procrastination is part of that indecision where you think, I want to do something, I'm worried about doing it, I can't do it, and that kind of keeps on going. So if you can take a small action, I'm all about small actions, I think you are as well, like just do something that will break that pattern of behavior, and you know as well as I do that when you break a pattern of behavior, it's starting to create a new habit, and that's all this is really.
Yeah, so that's really interesting. I think that'll help a lot of people just listening to it as well. I love that, what I can control and what I can't control in the circles.
Yeah.
I love that. And you could put it to particular scenarios as well, couldn't you? And even this is again a little bit off tangent, but the phone. So I hear a lot of people saying, I don't have time to exercise. This is because this is where I don't have time to plan my food. I don't have time to batch cook. But then I know that they're on social media or, scrolling. And that is what I control and what I can't control, isn't it?
Yeah.
So scrolling is you think it's mindless, don't you?
Yeah.
But that's another thing in the control. You can control that. You can actually give yourself, as an adult, some screen time.
Yeah, you can, some limits on it. And I'm guilty of that though. Wake in the morning and think, oh, I could take the dog for a walk, and then I'm on my phone, and then it's time's gone. And that's not me being conscious about what I'm doing. And I always feel better if I do take the dog for a walk up the hill. I love that. But if I've scrolled my phone, I feel like I've not gained anything here. I feel rubbish. I've compared myself to random people on the internet, and I haven't been out for exercise. So, and we're all only human, and I would never judge anybody for doing that. But it is so easy to do, and I do it myself all the time.
So do you encourage people to come to you to be in the moment then?
Yeah, that's the best thing about it, is when you're in a coaching session, it's just you and your coach, and you can have that uninterrupted space. And that is so rare these days, to just be without distraction, without anything getting in your focus. And so a client said to me the other day, she's like, I come to you and you don't really say anything. It's just me talking and figuring stuff out. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what it is. I don't have the answers. I'm not going to tell you what to do or give you a 6-step plan, but I'm going to give you the space and the time to scroll in your own mind through all of those things that are in there, and getting them out to the surface. So that's really what my job is. It's kind of as a guide and encouragement, and a bit challenging as well if I think that there's a bit of deflection going on or a bit of avoidance. But that's what the coach's role is. And a really great coach is one that says little and does lots of listening.
I'm trying to listen and not butt in. No, it's really, really good. So what would you advise for, the general people who, busy at the moment? A lot of people are working from home. They're really busy. They're very much ongoing all the time. Are there anything you could suggest to them to help them to? It's a work-life balance. That's what I'm really coming to. So I'm finding that the work-life balance has gone off the scale for a lot of people. So as we're recording this, we are pretty much kind of normal-ish, September 2021, but we are still in the realms of COVID, and people's working from home. It's really hard to stop-start.
Yeah.
And are you having some people who are coming who are just frantic, who are exhausted and stressed? Yeah,
I think everyone I speak to feels that just being worn down by all being around each other all the time. It's less than it was obviously in the lockdowns, but we're all still working from home so much. So now my husband and I are both here, taking it to a lot. So trying to have some boundaries around around turning your laptop off and not being in work mode. It is hard, but it is so important, because you would have normally have left the office, gone home, gone and done your next thing, but that doesn't happen anymore. So we have to be a bit stricter with ourselves to have those boundaries in place around how much we're giving to work and how much we're letting it blur into our home life.
And so you're about to start a group coaching programs. You do group programs, don't you?
Yeah, so actually this is my pilot one. So I've been doing one-to-one coaching since I started the business, but I just felt like I would love to get a group of women together to have this amazing connection and talk about this stuff and be coached as a group, because it's so powerful. And I've done group sessions myself where it's just so reassuring to have other people in that same boat as you, and also so much more galvanizing, because you're all feeling it. As with you, when you're doing your 12 weeks, it feels like you've got more accountability. So I wanted to create a group that was going to help make decisions and to focus really in on that next step through a process of being in a group. So it's quite a short program, it's only 6 weeks, it's really intense, but there's lots of cool things happening in the group. There'll be guest speakers, there's a workbook, and there's live one-to-one group coaching with me in a really confidential sort of setting and a safe space. So I'm really excited, and it's in November, so I think it'll be like all cozy and autumnal. And I think it'll be a really, really good way to really move people from that kind of stuck place to the next step in there and what they want to do.
That sounds really good, really powerful. I mean, I'm all for group challenges. I only started a year ago doing group challenge, first one was the 30-day reset, and it was great. And then this is the first 12-week challenge. It seems really long, but actually I'm quite excited to be on this journey for 12 weeks.
Yeah, definitely. You can really commit to something then, can't you?
Committing and trust yourself. And yeah, so I'll share this with the ladies as well. So it sounds brilliant. So any other kind of words of wisdom you'd want to share, or your experience, your personal experiences?
I think just my biggest thing is to be compassionate to yourself. And, you know, we do, as women, more than men, well, I can't say speak for men, but I feel like women put a lot of pressure on themselves to make themselves better versions of themselves. So by doing exercise, losing weight, dieting, self-improvement. And I think trying to spin that around to actually be more focused on how you can be compassionate to yourself and what do you need rather than what you think you should be doing is the better way to look at it, because it's not about beating yourself up. You are great and wonderful as you are. It's just that because you think you should be conforming to some standards. That's what I want to say.
I am so in that. So I have that as well. So very much we see the people of certain body shapes, certain hair color, and I'm like, just be yourself.
Yeah.
Just be the best version of yourself at that time.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much, Laura, for joining me.
It's okay. It's been great.
And what I'll do, I'll share your social handles with the little comments of, I'll put this, we'll have this on YouTube and the socials, so we can share it, and then
amazing.
People can contact you to find out more and see if you can help them.
Thank you so much. Have a lovely weekend.
Thank you.